You're listening to Nice-ish, a podcast about reality TV and your opinions, with your hosts, Cindy and Grace. Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 23 of Nice-ish. I'm here with my co-host, Grace.
Hi.
Hi. Before we get into everything, I wanted to quickly talk about this really funny news story that came up.
Okay.
It is about Jim Belino and Elizabeth Vargas. Now, do you remember Elizabeth from the show?
Barely, but yes.
Yes. And she was actually on this season briefly as well.
Blink and you miss her, though. So
yeah. Well, an article came out and had a picture attached to it of Elizabeth and Jim at dinner at the Quiet Woman. Okay. And the article said that they were dating. Mm-hmm. And everybody kind of went nuts and are like, this is hilarious. And this is getting back at Alexis, bring them on the show, which is kind of the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Because Elizabeth was boring AF and Jim Belino is awful. So,
well, no kidding. They didn't even want her on this season. Like, they were at her house and they were like, yeah, you're going to have to leave.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Didn't she say, do you want me to stay?
That's how desperate you are, is that you actually come out and ask, do you want me here?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, just the house is good, thanks.
So it came out later, like a day later, that they were not dating. In fact, Jim Belino released a statement saying, we are not dating, end of conversation, which was harsh, I thought.
Blunt, harsh, very... cut and dry. Do not lump me in with this woman. This is not who I am dating. And would never date, pretty much.
That's kind of the vibe, wasn't it? Like, end of discussion, don't associate me with her. Mm-hmm. No. So I thought that was a little mean, but okay, whatever. Then we think, okay, that's end of story. On Vicky's podcast, she starts talking about how her and Kelly Dodd were talking about it. And Kelly Dodd's like, I'm going to call Jim Belino and find out what's going on. Mm-hmm. So she calls him and he says, I did not know I was meeting her because there's two Elizabeth Vargases, the one on OC, and then there was one who was like a news anchor on ABC News or something like that.
Yeah.
And so that's who he thought he was meeting.
That's so funny. No wonder why he said end of conversations, because he's embarrassed that he...
Well, he went back to her house. Okay, that also happened.
Okay.
So Kelly gets the scoop and calls Vicky and tells her that he thought he was meeting a different Elizabeth, and he went back to her house, but nothing intimate happened, and they are not dating. He didn't even know who she was when he met her.
Right.
This story could not be funnier to me.
Oh, I know. I mean, way to totally just embarrass her completely. Like, if it wasn't embarrassing enough for Elizabeth to have Jim come out and say, like, end of conversation, then we have Vicky come out and say she wasn't even there for you. He didn't even want to meet you. He doesn't know who you are.
He probably walked up to the booth and he's like, yeah, I'll have a Belvedere and soda, please. And she's like, I'm not the waitress. I'm your date.
Oh, my God. I know, right?
God, so stupid.
Let's get into episode 3 of RHONY.
Okay.
It starts with all the women arriving to Aaron's house in the Hamptons. Brynn, Giselle, and Rebecca show up first from their helicopter ride that I don't think went that well. They're lucky it was short because I don't think that they vibed very much.
Plus the weather. I imagine it was a bit bumpy.
Sai and Ubah are driving together, and they show up next. Mm-hmm. But before Ubah and Sai show up, Aaron gets a phone call from Raquel, and Aaron asks her why she didn't want to drive with the other women. Mm-hmm. And Raquel says she gets really car sick and that neither Ubah or Sai was willing to give up the front seat for her to join them. Which right here, when I hear this, I'm like, perfect level amount of petty that I am looking for this type of show.
Yes.
So I love that.
Mm-hmm.
then when Ubah and Sai get there, Erin tells them immediately.
Of course
like
she
she
does.
literally can't wait to
She's
tell
the
them.
bone carrier.
So Ubah's pissed that the game of telephone is like literally already starting, and Sai looks genuinely confused as to what Erin is talking about.
Agreed.
Has no clue. So we see Sai pull out her text with Raquel, and to me it just seems like a really honest miscommunication here.
I would agree. And frankly, we saw that Sai's car was worth $100,000. Like, it was an expensive car. Bitch, you're not driving my car.
Well, yeah, I know. That's what you meant. Like, I don't think that Sai would have gotten the hint that you're like, I'll drive, but I'll drive your car, or like you'll drive. How about you drive your own car?
I mean, I don't care who it is. It wouldn't be you. It wouldn't be a partner. It wouldn't. If I paid $100,000 for that car, no one is driving it but me. Especially not somebody I just met.
Well, yeah, that was the thing, though. It's like, I think I've met you once.
Right?
I don't know you.
That was a bit absurd.
And you tell me that you get car sick. The last thing I want you to do is drive my car, like horribly car sick. Get out of here.
I don't even want you in my car.
Right, I know. So, I mean, I think she was just like, oh, do you take Dramamine? Do you whatever? I really don't think that it was like, we're sticking you in the back. It didn't really sound like that
It was
all.
a complete lack of communication on Raquel's part, I think.
Yeah.
Like, you got to spell it out.
Yeah.
What's the issue? Where do you want to sit? And then ask.
Yes.
If you don't do any of that, people aren't mind readers, so it literally falls on you.
Right. So luckily this gets squashed pretty quickly after Raquel arrives. They ask her like immediately, like they ask Sai and Ubah about it. So they get that out of the way, which is good. This was a very small blip, but I did enjoy that this is what I would like for this show.
Same.
So since we get all of the car stuff out of the way, Sai is feeling uncomfortable with Brynn and kind of vice versa. So Brynn asks Ubah to help with a conversation, and Ubah pulls them both over to the side, and Brynn apologizes to Sai immediately, like literally as soon as they sit down, and
Yeah.
And Sai just kind of feels like she hasn't even heard her side yet and is just brushing her feelings under the rug, which I can kind of understand that.
Cosign.
It did seem that way. So then Brynn calls Jenna over because Sai is like, why did you tell Jenna that I said I hated her? Mm-hmm. So Brynn's like, get over here, basically. And Jenna denies that she told Sai Brynn was the one that said Sai hates her. Which I'm like, no. We can't do this. We can't do the I don't remember or the I didn't say this. That's not going to fly with me.
There's so many issues I have with this whole scene. First, I completely agree with Sai. She didn't even say what was bothering her. Like, Brynn is apologizing, but she doesn't know what she's apologizing for. She's just kind of lumping everything together. Yeah. Whatever I did, I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry. Well, that's fine, but I want you to know what you did.
Yeah.
And Sai didn't even get to say it.
Right.
So I have a problem with that. I completely agree with Sai. Let me tell you what you did. So frankly, so you don't do it again.
Right. And
Jenna, I can't stand.
Cosign. I can't stand her either.
You gotta have some sort of backbone. My God, the flashback even showed you nudge your head over. Like, it was her. It was her. You literally ID'd Brynn. And now you're saying it was everybody? Like, don't do that shit. Don't.
I know. It's annoying. And that's not going to work with Housewives, where you have a camera on you and we literally are going to play it back and be like, okay, you lied. What are you doing? I did think it was funny, though, if Sai was like, well, what am I supposed to do? The old lady doesn't remember. What am I supposed to do? Like, beat her till she remembers.
I know.
But that is annoying, though, because then you don't have somebody there to reinforce what you're saying.
She was corroborating your story.
Right.
And now all of a sudden your story falls apart because she's not your eyewitness anymore.
Yeah. So I'm not a fan of the backpedaling here.
No.
Not great. So Jenna is saying that she heard from multiple people that Sai didn't like her. So I think the question is Brynn is wondering is, why are you mad at me then? If we were all talking about it, why are you specifically mad at me? And I think that's Brynn's point. I guess I can kind of see both sides here. Brynn is saying that she and Jenna were talking about Sai not liking her, but Jenna had already been brought that information, so who cares? Mm-hmm. I mean, because in the confessional, Brynn was like, I think I was like the 71st person to tell you. So if that's the case, then I guess Sai needs to watch her mouth. If she didn't want it, don't tell multiple people.
Right.
But I also think, though, that if Sai tells you, don't say anything, why are you saying anything?
That would kind of be my point as well. Look, I may have told her, him, and her, but if I specifically tell you don't say anything and you do, then I have a problem with that. Mm-hmm. I want to make sure I can trust you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not really a test. It's just I'm confiding something in you and you failed.
Well, I think the kicker, too,
so I guess that's a test.
Yeah, it's literally a test. Well, I think the kicker here for me, though, was that Brynn literally says in the conversation that if Sai had directly told her that she hated Jenna, that Brynn would have told Jenna immediately. That's literally what she says to that. Right. Okay, great. So now I know I can't tell you anything.
So you're saying you didn't do it, but you would have.
Yeah. So I think that
my intuition was right. I can't trust you. I think that's when she just got up and left.
Yeah.
Because I would, okay, well, the conversation's over then.
Well, this issue actually sort of gets resolved for the moment, I guess, when Erin tells Brynn, she's like, just go over and give Sai a hug and, you know, make it better. And Brynn does. And at first, Sai was like, get off me. And then she eventually kind of came around. And then Brynn kind of started crying that she wants to be friends with her and stuff like that, too. Which I don't get how Brynn can be this sensitive and this much of a loudmouth, though. I don't get how you can be both.
I find a lot of the comments I'm seeing on Brynn are she's overproducing herself.
Yeah.
So it could be that she thinks she's making good TV by dropping these bombs, but a lot of these women feel like they're trying to establish real friendships here, and that's not the way to go about it.
So you had tweeted out specifically about this fight between Sai and Brynn and said, I'm completely on Sai's side. Brynn is being annoying.
True.
And you had gotten a response back from at Liz B. Hamilton 17, who said, I was not a Sai fan last season and loved Brynn. I love seeing these ladies in their second season really coming into their own. I'm loving Sai so far, and I don't dislike Brynn, but I think she's being too messy for her own good.
I said at the end of the reunion that I was going to give Sai another chance. Mm-hmm. I felt like she really opened up at the reunion. She talked about her relationship with her mother. She didn't like what she saw on camera of herself. So all of these things, I thought, okay, look, that's got to be really hard to see yourself on camera.
Yeah.
And so you are afforded an opportunity not a lot of people get where you can see how you're interacting with people. Mm-hmm. So she's going to take it, she's going to therapy, and she's going to try to change what she didn't like about herself. I find all of that admirable. Mm-hmm. I like that. So I'm totally willing to start over with her, and I'm glad I did, because I am enjoying her. Yeah. I do like her.
Uh-huh. I do too.
I'm the opposite with Brynn. I thought Brynn was really going to be the one I gravitated towards and liking, because I thought she's going to be fun and this and that. I find her so annoying.
Well, I feel like she's trying to fill the gap of where, like, Sonia would have been. Like, and I feel like that's kind of what she's doing. And It's like, I think she realizes that, because a lot of people liked Sonia. I would think that most people, when they talk about who's your favorite housewife, I think a lot of people would pick Sonia. Mm-hmm. And I think that knowing that she was likable, you're trying to emulate her a little bit.
That's interesting. I never thought about that. Well, the thing is there are so many things about Brynn to like.
I know.
She's very intelligent. She plays chess. We never saw that other than 5 minutes in, like, the opening of season 1. She likes to read. She collects first edition novels. She's got so many things going for her. Even her argument when she's like, don't use those words. I don't use curse words, you know, and all this stuff. I find that very interesting.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of depth there.
Yes. But she's not going in that direction, or at least production's not directing her that way.
No.
Which is a shame.
It is a shame because it's all very shallow and not anything there. And
very
I would
surface.
So I'm not a fan right now either. So the women end up going to dinner. We're not really going to focus too much on that because we're going to get into another bigger fight that happened this episode. But once all the women kind of got back from dinner, Ubah, Aaron, and Giselle were all talking in the kitchen about Brynn and Sai's conversation. And based off of the conversation Ubah had with Sai about their talk, Ubah doesn't feel that it went well and is annoyed that Brynn apologized before Sai even got a chance to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And Ubah's kind of like, I talked with Sai here and it was after the conversation and you're all telling me that it went well. That's not what she's saying. Then Aaron goes on and says that she's annoyed just at everybody because Sai in a group chat with all of the women said that she was sorry about the way the night unfolded at Brynn's party and that she takes responsibility for her part. So Aaron's kind of like, what? Like, she took responsibility. What are we kind of doing? Like, I'm annoyed at all of you.
Yeah, because she apologized and she said it seems sincere. From what we saw, because they posted the text, it did seem sincere.
Yeah.
And she was upset that her emotions got away from her. So why are we still dragging on with this then?
I know. So then Brynn walks in and she's like, oh, you guys are talking about me? It's like, yeah, not in a great way though. So it's not fun. And then basically just to sum it up, that Ubah and Brynn get into kind of a bit of a tiff or a fight too because Ubah's still annoyed. Ubah is clearly annoyed about the whole telephone thing of it all, like just in general from all the women.
The words are pigeon carrying.
Yeah, and I wasn't even going to mention it because I thought it was dumb.
If I heard the word pigeon one more time.
That's Dorinda's thing. Let it go. Yeah. So I think Ubah is still holding on to some resentment of her own in terms with the group, is that she just doesn't like how things get twisted in this whole telephone game. Not that it's specifically Brynn, but that Brynn is probably the biggest one who does it.
I understand that because they do all do that.
Yes, they all do it.
I just don't get why she's so pissed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she just, I don't know if this is on behalf of Sai that she's so annoyed with Brynn over, or if it literally goes back to last season and the boyfriend being outed and all of that. She seems to want to put trust in people and she can't trust people, so she's just annoyed.
Yeah, I get that vibe too. I think she's saying it's Sai, but I think it's very much her own opinions.
Yeah.
Because I think that Sai probably just told her about the conversation. That was it. And I don't know that Sai doing that, she thought that Ubah would get, you know.
I don't think so, but they have a safe word, which we hear coming up.
Yeah.
So maybe she did think that.
That is true.
But Sai just went to bed. So if she could, go to sleep, why are you guys all still worried about it?
I know.
And I get the feeling that production told Brynn to go down to the kitchen. Because we have a scene right before that where she's kind of taking the pillows off her bed, getting ready to get in bed.
Yeah.
And then the three are down in the kitchen. Then Brynn just shows up. So I think it was like, hey, she's talking about you. Go downstairs.
We need some footage here.
Yeah.
We need you
desperately.
To go. Yeah. So please go down. The next morning for breakfast, I think Ubah was ready to come down and quote unquote talk to Brynn because of the way that their conversation went the night before. I think Ubah went to bed pissed. I think she was ready for that she was going to lay it. That she was going to lay it all out on the line, and she was ready for it. Nobody else was ready for it, but
and the thing is she kind of went after everyone. It wasn't just Brynn. It was, you're all this. You're all liars. You're all, and it was just kind of like, oh, okay.
Not a great way to,
Well, I saw Jessel's face, and she was kind of like, me too.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. Who are we referring to? Am I in this? So Ubah starts, and she's like, there's a lot of miscommunication. within the group. Yeah, the whole thing about the pigeons and stuff like that. And then Brynn's like, people shouldn't be a spokesperson for other people. And Ubah was not a fan of that response, so she goes with, shut the fuck up.
Right.
And Brynn was not thrilled about that. It's interesting because it almost seemed like after Ubah said it that Brynn looked like she was ready to cry.
Yeah, she did look upset.
Yeah. And that's when we saw the confessional with her where she was like, I don't
prescribe to this type of fighting. I was taught not to do this.
Yeah, she considers those type of fights lowbrow fighting. And she's like, I like smart fighting. Like, where'd you get those shoes? Nordstrom Rack?
Exactly.
Like, she got a thing for Nordstrom Rack. This is like the second or third quote that she has mentioned Nordstrom Rack.
Yeah, I think she insults the newbie Rebecca that way too.
Yeah.
Like her designs are.
Yeah.
But I get her point. Like, if we're supposed to be friends but we're fighting, why are we going to go there?
Right.
At some point, you're going to say something that we can't come back from. So let's stick to more intelligent fighting.
Right. It just keeps kind of jumping.
Agreed.
And Sai, what's hilarious to me is that she keeps talking about Sai is this, Sai is that. Sai's not even there. She's the only one that is not literally at breakfast yet. And they're all talking about her. Like,
you know what it kind of reminds me of? When you're dating someone and you're having an issue and you tell your best friend or your parents or whoever all the shitty things they're doing, and then you make up or they apologize and you're good, but the people that you've told are not good.
Yeah.
And so they're still holding a grudge against that person. And I feel like Sai vents to Ubah, and then Sai's good because she got it off her chest, and then Ubah is just stewing in it.
That's true. Yeah, that does make sense. She does seem like she would, she seems like the love hard, feel hard, fight hard type of person.
Yeah.
Which is nothing wrong with that.
No, there's not.
So as they're in the middle of fighting, Ubah says to Brynn, you are a snake and no one sees you coming. And all of the women kind of gasp. Yeah. And what's funny about this too is then Ubah kind of keeps talking. She's literally mid-sentence. And Sai just yells out the word pineapple and she just stops.
Yeah.
It's like, what? It really throws off the other women.
It threw me off.
Yeah.
Because it was immediate. She shut down. And just, okay, I get what you're saying. I hear it. I receive it.
Yeah.
And she just stopped. It was interesting.
I thought it was interesting too. Yeah. In next week's sneak peek, we will see the fight between Ubah and Brynn continue with what looks like Brynn in tears at the dinner table.
Yeah, I know that we're going to see this all season long because we saw in the trailer that they literally can't be in the same room with each other while they're taking their promotional photos, which was 3 days after the season finale they filmed.
Yeah.
So we know that there will be issues all season long, which kind of sucks because there's going to be no resolution,
Oh, yeah, that we already know.
Yeah. So the fights just are going to get either worse or draining. Okay, let's move on to Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. The episode opens with Meredith practicing her Hebrew, and then we get this completely incredible story regarding Bronwyn and her daughter Gwen and her birth father. And Bronwyn shares that when they were in the airport on their way back to Salt Lake City from Milwaukee, that Lisa had said to Bronwyn how much Gwen looks like her. And Bronwyn's like, wow, I literally never hear that. I'm always told she looks like her father. So she showed Lisa a picture on her phone of Gwen's dad, and Lisa's like, oh my God, I know them. I know him.
Yeah.
And she's like, what? I mean, talk about a small place.
I know. I'm not surprised. Lisa seems like she knows everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that she would.
Right.
But she probably never either asked about that or just, didn't seem like Bronwyn told a lot of people.
No, she kept it very close to her chest on that. But so In her confessional, she kind of goes through the story of her pregnancy. And she got pregnant at 18 when she was in college at BYU. And she was dating Gwen's dad. We don't know his name. They've never mentioned his name, probably just for privacy's sake. So it'll just be Gwen's dad. So Bronwyn and the birth dad then go back to his parents to tell them that she's pregnant. And she said she pretty much took the brunt of it, that he wasn't really blamed for anything, that they basically were not interested in being part of the baby's life, being part of Bronwyn's life. The boyfriend was like, see ya, I can't be with you anymore. And she was really on her own, which is so shitty.
I know. God.
So she goes back to her family, and Bronwyn says they weren't overly thrilled either, but still accepting.
Which I kind of think is probably going to be the answer when you're 18. I would imagine nobody's thrilled.
Yeah, that would be most parents' reaction, I would think. So she raised Gwen on her own, goes on, and then she sees his obituary on Facebook. But then her daughter's 18 now, and the grandmother wants to get in touch, supposedly, and meet Gwen and all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Bronwyn's really struggling with this. Do we want Gwen to meet his family?
Yeah, I would think so. It does seem like Gwen is going back and forth here a little bit of what she wants to do. Gwen was going to try to, and then the reaction was so poor to her and mediocre, that I think she's kind of like,
she
turned
wanted
off.
them to be excited to meet her. They've had months and months go by, and they haven't contacted her.
Yeah, and I find it interesting that now, after 18 years, Bronwyn's on a TV show, and now all of a sudden you're interested in
You don't want to look
Gwen.
bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I agree.
Like, I can see that from a mile away.
Same.
So I think it's shitty.
Next, we go to a scene with Whitney, Heather, and Brittany. They're skiing and snowboarding together. Brittany shares a video she took of her office when she arrived to work after they got back from Milwaukee.
Oh, good God.
And there were 4 dozen roses waiting for her, this plush unicorn, among other things. And then this note Jared wrote calling her a unicorn and expressing his disappointment on her dumping him because her, quote, new friends convinced her it was a good idea.
He's gross, though. What are you doing? You know, and the message was weird. That the entire message was odd. I didn't quite know. Are you telling her that you love her, or are you telling her that you're mad at her? I don't really know.
Well, we find out.
Uh-huh.
Because later on they meet. We're not at that point yet, but they meet.
Yeah.
And he's finally on camera. But before that, we have a scene with Whitney in the car with Justin. And she's talking about how the hotels called her. The hotel staff called her and said that Lisa Barlow had left behind the necklace that Whitney had gifted her in the trash.
How shady. You couldn't have just taken it? Like, I don't know. I think it's hilarious that the hotel called her. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how somebody
They
saw
probably
it.
thought it looked expensive, and it's like, I don't know if she meant to throw this away. At first they didn't say who. They're like, you know, room 403 or whatever. And she's like, oh, Lisa Barlow's room.
Well, interesting that you said it looked expensive because everybody thinks her stuff is from Alibaba. So if it looked expensive, that's a good plus.
I know, right? Well, I don't know. I'm guessing that's what the staff thought.
They probably searched all the rooms and saw it and it was like, is this a mistake? And Lisa's like, nope, wasn't a mistake.
No, it wasn't. I left it for the garbage.
God.
While Whitney's in the car with Justin, she gets a call from a blogger who is basically telling her that they know the person who posted the Alibaba rumor on social media.
Yeah.
And this blogger said they wouldn't tell me outright. I had to ask questions and they'd tell me. So I said, do they have a beauty line? Do they have, a jewelry line. And they're like, no. Do they have a liquor line? And he says, yes.
Right. Yeah.
So she's like, okay, so it's Lisa. And he said, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm hearing on social media that this blogger did a video saying they cut part of his interview out and edited it so that it seemed like he was saying it was Lisa, but at the end he's saying he can't confirm it's Lisa. I'm completely confused over this.
Yeah, I know.
How can you say that it's the person that has the liquor line,
right,
which is Lisa, and then say, I can't confirm it's Lisa?
Yeah, I don't know either. And I know that he had said that it was filmed later, like at the very end of the season or whatever, to probably try to fill in like plot holes here. But yeah, you're implying it's Lisa. This is the same thing that Housewives do. You're not saying it was her, but you're very, very heavily implying.
Well, I had tweeted out about that, and I got 2 tweets on it I wanted to talk about. The first was from @GirlOnTheGram, who said, why are we letting bloggers be storylines on Housewives? They are fans. We must stop this madness. Thoughts?
Stop the madness. I would agree. Oh my gosh, this is so frustrating. It's like, they know as much information as we know. Like, I can make up shit very easily and just, pretend to be Housewives. This is what caused Jersey to be so terrible. Ugh. Is when they had all of these, bloggers and on certain people's side, not on other people. And it just literally blew up.
We lost the plot.
Yes. I do not need this as a plot hole or like to fill one.
To fill in the gaps.
Yes, I don't need this to fill in the gap. I would have been fine without it. And now it just makes me think that Whitney goes around and talks to bloggers and that you're friends with all of them. So that's not great either.
We got another tweet from @AilSheWolf who said, they wanted Monica out and they're doing the same shit they complained about. I can't stand it. Talking to bloggers and all this shit, they all do it.
Yeah, that's kind of the bottom line, is they all do it. That's why I think I was so frustrated that Monica left, that they actually did boot her, because they all do it. And actually, if it wasn't for Monica, I think Meredith would have been in the hot seat last season, because that's how it started to go, which was that they were accusing Meredith of doing it.
Right.
But she got skated by. She always tends to skate by. How does that happen? They always forget about her. So it always starts with her and they never end with her. But no, I don't know. They all do it though. So why don't act like you aren't talking to people. Don't act like you aren't, getting the shit out there that you want, that you feel like you can't say.
I know. It's getting annoying. The problem is that Housewives are too easily accessible to us now.
Yeah, that's true.
We can literally message them, and if it's not them, it's their assistant or whoever, and they'll see everything. So it's like you can put anything you want out there, and then it's like, oh, Angie's in the mob?
Right, yeah, especially if it's about somebody who they don't like. Then they'll just take it.
So then we get a segment with Lisa and Heather, and they go to the spa, and they're sitting in the salt cave, and they're discussing the last night in Milwaukee. And Heather is telling Lisa kind of everything Angie told her, which was basically a jab at Lisa's parenting, saying that she lets her son stay up till 2 a.m. playing video games, and that's how she babysits him. Oh. Or basically a lack of parenting by putting your kid in front of the TV or a video game or whatever, and that's your babysitter. And so Lisa actually tears up. She's like really upset.
I know.
And so Heather says to Lisa, yeah, Angie's really coming after you, and I don't know why.
I don't know why.
What? You don't know why?
I can tell you why. Were you there at the dinner when she said that, the reason why you have to get off the phone with me is because of your daughter? That wasn't enough of a... No. That, to me, in Housewives world, is a open invitation to talk about your parenting.
Yes.
You're going to talk about my kid. Okay. now I know that you're,
Well, you're
not
talking
off
about my
limits.
parenting.
Yeah.
Literally, when you say, I'm using my daughter to get off the phone. If you want to say, I'm not talking about your daughter, I'm talking about you. Okay, you're talking about my parenting.
Right.
That I'm using my kid.
I know.
So, and by the way, we've all done that.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, isn't that what kids are for? Having kids? And vice versa, by the way.
I'm sorry, you might not have even been home at times when I'm like, I'm sorry, Grace needs me, I gotta go. So, that's like, we all do that.
I know.
That was lame.
Yeah, I thought it was lame too. I don't know. I can't believe that they don't see where it's coming from at all. And Heather's really pissing me off too.
Yeah. She's been awful.
Why did she keep like twisting what happens or doesn't understand what happens? She's really like stirring the pot, but not in like this fun way, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I'm really annoyed because you keep missing, like the information is not getting.
Oh, Mary hates it. Mary calls her out later.
Right. It's just so misconstrued. You're just taking everything and twisting it.
Yes,
and
she's putting her spin on it.
Yes.
And she's saying things that weren't said.
Oh, yeah.
That she's just, I think this, but that doesn't mean that's what was said.
Yeah.
So then we get to the scene, which I was actually looking forward to when I saw the preview, because I really wanted to see this, which was Brittany meeting the infamous boyfriend, Jared Osmond.
Oh, so you're calling him the boyfriend then?
Well,
you're putting a label on it.
At this moment, he was the ex-boyfriend. He just didn't know. We knew before he did.
Mm-hmm.
So she walks in, and right off the bat, when we meet him, I get this smarmy vibe.
Yeah.
I think partially due to the gum chewing. I have a real problem. I don't trust a guy that chews gum. I don't know why. Because I chew gum occasionally, just to kind of like freshen the breath or something.
Uh-huh.
But for some reason, when men do it, I find it irritating and annoying.
Interesting.
And untrustworthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's literally what I think of when I think of somebody, guy that chews gum.
It's like winking.
Oh my God, I hate winking.
I know. It's very creepy. I don't know why people wink. I don't like that either.
Winking is a deal breaker for me.
Yeah.
And I think I might add gum chewing to that.
That's fine. Go
Thank
for
you.
it. Yeah.
So they're here to talk about Brittany dumping him again. And from the moment they start talking, Jared is really gaslighting her, I feel. He can't make up his mind what he wants. And I'm actually starting to understand why Brittany dumped him 17 times.
Mm-hmm.
Because she likes him. She's in love with him, but she knows he's awful. So she just keeps going back. But
I know. God.
in her heart of hearts, she knows he's an idiot.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And she actually mentions 3 things he does that my jaw hit the floor. First, he's still on dating apps.
Well, that's a big one.
That's a deal breaker. What do you say?
I think that he won't get off dating apps. Yeah, I don't think he's into you. You know?
No, he's looking for something better, or he's looking for a one-time thing or whatever. Girl.
Yeah.
Come on. That blew me away. That was something. He also won't post about her on social media, she said. And then he drops her hand when a pretty woman walks by.
The fact that you can clock that means that it's happened a bunch of times. So this guy is just gross. But what I really can't figure out, though, is why would you send her roses and all this stuff? Like, you seem like you're actively pursuing her as well.
Yes.
But you also seem like you don't want her either.
Well,
so I don't understand.
I think she's a sure thing.
Oh.
Like, if I want to see her, if I want to hook up, if I want to go out to dinner, if I want anything, she's going to say yes to me because she's come back to me 17 times.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if I've met someone else, I'll do what I want.
Yeah.
So Brittany asked Jared to do the uncomfortable things that he doesn't like to do for her to feel safe in the relationship. And he says, quote, "I show up every day for you and I've given you everything I can."
I love that the uncomfortable thing is to get rid of your dating apps and just be with me. That's the uncomfortable thing.
Nope, can't do it. I'm sorry.
God.
I love that picture of me.
God, he's such an ass, though.
He really
what?
is.
Are you for real?
So she's like, okay, well, that's your answer then. Your answer's no. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm a really good guy, Brittany.
I feel like if you have to say, I'm a really good guy, that's the red flag. For yours is the gum chewing. Mine is the fact that you have to spell out that you're a really good guy. Because if you're saying that...
Then you're not.
Then you're not. You're definitely not.
So at the end of the conversation, Jared suggests that they just put a pin in it.
Well, now I finally understand why she's saying that she's broken up with him and he's saying that she never has. It's because he keeps telling her, let's put a pin in it. And they've put a pin in it for, 17 plus breakups that they've had.
She was like, okay. So I'm like, well, where are you then? Are you still together then?
I think, I bet you this is how, like, all of their conversations go. Every single
says,
one.
I'm breaking up with you. And he's like, nah.
Let's put a pin in it.
Hold off on that.
Like, what? And you're fine with that.
Well, she gave him that little heart thing.
Oh, my God. I cringed at that. I'm like, oh, my God. What are you doing? Why are you doing that? You're my best friend with a heart.
Oof.
I did not like that.
No, I didn't like it either.
That was weird.
So I had tweeted out, watching the Brittany Jared scene, this makes me understand her so much more. First, I get this smarmy vibe from him. And I don't trust anybody that chews gum.
Mm-hmm.
But second, he won't get off dating apps and he drops her hand when a pretty woman walks by. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And we got a reply from @JerseyShoreLady who said, that scene really made me question Brittany. It's so obvious he's a player and only wants a one-sided commitment. I think Lisa did her a favor.
I think Lisa definitely did her a favor. I think she kind of got the ball rolling here. Like, we need to break this chain here because you keep doing the same exact thing over and over and over again. And it is literally the definition of insanity. And I am already annoyed. And I've only seen, yes, and insane by this. And the fact that she is telling me this happens like 17 times, I'm like, I don't know how you're not just completely over this guy and how you have not moved on to somebody else. It does. I get what this person's saying about that it makes you question Brittany because it's like, what are you doing?
Right.
What is wrong with you? And it's like, if you want to be, I don't know why you would want to be, but if you want to be friends with him, fine. But like, find somebody else then. How about you start going on dating apps too? How about you start doing all that stuff? And then if he gets, pissy about it, then be like, well, you're doing it too. So too bad.
Yeah, the whole thing's unhealthy. And I agree, Lisa did do her a favor. Maybe not the way it should have been done with texting from her phone like it was
probably
like
not.
it was Brittany.
Yeah.
But, girl, you cannot do it yourself, so your friend had to step in and do it for you.
Yeah.
So then we go to a scene where Heather, Mary, Lisa, and Brittany are ziplining. And Brittany tells Lisa that she may have ruined her relationship with Jared.
God.
She literally blames Lisa and says that you may have ruined my relationship with Jared forever because of those texts you sent from my phone. And Lisa's like, wait, it's not Jared that ruined things, it's me? You're putting the blame on me?
Which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah. And Lisa's like, thank God I took over your phone or you'd still be in a horrible relationship. Which, I mean, we basically kind of talked about that.
Well, this makes me wonder, too, about what Jared said to Brittany. Because clearly they talked off camera and he had said something more about Lisa. Like, I know that they were talking on camera and her name came up. She's one of the people where it's like the last person you talk to is whose advice you take.
Oh, uh-huh.
And so I have a feeling that Jared was probably like, you know what, Lisa's the one that did all this. Lisa's the one that destroyed it. You let her do that, and now this is why I'm not into you type deal. And now she's mad at Lisa.
Yes, that sounds exactly right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it. So we get a sneak peek of next week's episode, and it's an anniversary party for Angie and Sean with this Mob Wives theme, which I thought was kind of hilarious.
Brilliant. Love it.
Yeah. because Meredith obviously said that Angie was in the Greek mafia.
Uh-huh.
So a play on that. I don't know how it's going to go over with Meredith, but, just take it as a joke.
Meredith will take it as a joke at first, and then when she gets home later, she'll be pissed about it. Yeah. She'll save face there, and then she will be annoyed later.
Well, it looks good. We get this confrontation with Whitney and Lisa, where Lisa, don't involve the men. That was the problem. She goes up to Justin, Whitney's husband, and is like, your wife's a liar. And then, of course, he's, my wife's not a liar.
Right. Well, like, what do you want him to say? Like, I agree?
He's standing there talking to your husband, right. And you're going to drag him in. Like, no.
I know.
It looks good, though.
Yeah, it does look good. Yeah, I just don't get that, though. What do you want him to say? Yeah, so it's so dumb. I hate that. But yes, you're right, though. On this week's Real Housewives of Orange County, it begins with the housewives still in London, and Shannon and Emily rehashed the night before when Heather and Tamra confronted Shannon about her Jeff Lewis interview. So Heather comes in and tells Shannon she's sorry for the way things went down at dinner, and can they talk about it? And Shannon says she told Heather all of that stuff in Sonoma in confidence. And production does a flashback confirming that Shannon did say, don't bring this to the rest of the group. So then in a confessional, Heather says she actually already knew this information from Tamra. And so by Shannon telling other people, she just was like, it wasn't really a secret if you're talking about it as well. And I don't know. It's like kind of like Heather, she said not to say anything and you did.
I don't care who Shannon told. She was confiding in you. You're the one she wants to trust.
Yeah.
So you saying, oh, well, this person knew and this person knew. So what? She told you. Zip it.
Right. So then Shannon goes and brings her receipts out to show Emily and Heather what she paid during the relationship with John Jansen. And they literally start laughing because it's written on this like torn sheets of spiral notebook paper, like that she's clearly just, every time she sees something, she's writing it on a piece of paper and then, ripping it out. And then it's just like
completely unorganized. I know. It's so funny.
And Emily asked Shannon if she's just ever heard of Excel, and just Shannon smiles after. It was funny though. It's like, no, they were not making fun of Shannon.
My God. Say that again, please. For the people
they
in the
were
back.
Not making fun of Shannon for going through her receipts as to what she paid. They were making fun of the fact that she's got all of these torn pieces of paper and acting like these are legitimate receipts and that they're not all in a categorized location like Excel.
Yes, it was just a joke about that. Like, I get people are being a little protective of Shannon. This was not an attack.
No.
So relax.
Yeah, they're just like, there's a better way to do this.
Yes, it was funny. Even Shannon smiled.
Right, yes.
Ugh.
Then we move to Gina and Jen, and they decide to go to this like spa pool. And Gina shares with Jen the text message Shannon showed her from Alexis that confirms Alexis had plans to sue Tamra and Shannon and was in on it from the very beginning. Yeah. And Jen asks if Tamra knows. And Gina wonders why Tamra would sit across from everyone at the table knowing this and continue to come at Shannon for lying.
I think that's an excellent question. Why are you constantly coming at Shannon saying she's lying about this, lying about Alexis? I don't get the hard-on that Heather and Tamra have for Alexis. I really don't.
Yeah, not in this situation, like in any situation maybe at all.
Right.
But I don't get it here either because Tamra, you know what it's like to be sued.
Right.
And you know what you and Shannon went through at the time with Jim. And it's like, I don't really know why she doesn't feel like this is
a smoking gun.
Yeah.
Because Alexis literally said if you have receipts, Shannon, Bedore, then show them. And she
found one.
Found one that has you saying us, our, we, whatever. You know, we are saying it's right there. So the second that came up, you should have been like, oh, shit, I was wrong. She did do this.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen.
Gina also brings up to Jen that the women were discussing her Dolce & Gabbana dress that she wore to Shannon's tea party. And she said Heather was in Neiman Marcus, saw the price, told Tamra it was $2,000, and that they were talking about it. I think that Heather is so full of shit when she's like, I was in Neiman Marcus and I saw it. Bitch, you Googled it immediately. Because you want to know why? Because I Googled her dress immediately.
We did.
We did do that.
Yes.
And I wanted to know, it actually wasn't because I wondered the price. It was because I actually really liked it.
I did too.
But it's the first thing I did.
Yes.
So you did not go, just happen to be in Neiman Marcus and saw it. So that I don't buy.
Yeah, I'm calling bullshit on that.
But I don't really care that they're talking about her dress, because I feel like that's something that if I knew somebody was having money problems or whatever, I would wonder, I don't know.
Why you're spending the money on that?
I would wonder why you're spending the money, and I would want to know how much you spent, but I would also want to talk to somebody else about, isn't this insane? And then I would,
Well, I think we know why she did it, because they trashed her for what she wore or what brands she had or fake brands. We know that they talked about that. So she felt pressure to perhaps overspend because she's on a TV show too.
Yeah.
I think that's why she feels a lot of pressure to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. But
that's Nene.
That is Nene.
She is the Joneses. I'm sorry, that's the only thing I think of it's where my mind goes when I think of that.
As any true Housewives fan would.
Right.
So.
No, I don't know. I mean, I like Jen, but
I think if they were talking about anybody else, people would think it's funny, or people would think it's snarky. People would think it's messy. But because they're talking about sweet Bambi Jen,
right,
it's mean.
Yes.
But
because I was gonna say, in the threshold of Housewives here, talking about how much somebody paid for a dress and that you think that they can't afford it is not. It's pretty low on the list here.
I would agree.
So I don't really can hold a lot of weight for that.
No, it's shady.
Right. Exactly. Later that day, the women go on the double-decker tour bus, which immediately screams tourist.
So do the hats and the scarves and
God,
all
guys,
that. The capes.
The capes, yes.
Shannon can be fun, but I'm sorry. I wouldn't want to wear that tacky shit.
No, I wouldn't either.
I would want really nice photos of my time in London, not with me wearing a tiara, a crown, a cape, a bucket hat.
Right, look like a complete fool.
Yeah, it's just not my thing. I would do it for one photo, maybe.
Right.
But don't waste your money on all that.
Well, it's like, you got me this really nice Burberry scarf. Let me wear the Burberry scarf that you got me. Why am I wearing this stupid $2 hat?
A bucket hat of the flag.
Right.
Like, please, no.
So they visit some sites in London, and then they go to dinner that evening. And Jen calls Heather out immediately that she called Tamra behind her back about the price of the dress, and Heather said she did it because she was worried about her. Do you believe that?
I call bullshit. There is nothing about that screams you're worried. It's all gossip.
Right.
It's what you do. Just be like, I got caught.
Yeah.
I got caught. I was talking shit about you. I didn't think you could afford it. Yeah. And
I judged you on the fact that you told us that you only get $6,000 and that you spent $2,000 of it on a dress, or that's what I thought, because I bet you Ryan did give it.
I'm sure he did pay for it.
Yeah.
So she didn't use her money.
Right.
But they would judge her on that too.
So she's still $6,000 to the good. She still got it.
But they would judge her on that too.
Right. So yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but let's just own it, Heather. you know?
So you had tweeted out, so I'm catching up on OC from last night. Jen calling Heather out for calling Tamra from Neiman Marcus to discuss the price of her tea party dress was kind of fabulous. Heather, you can't spin this that you were worried about Jen. You called the gossip. Just own it.
Yes.
And you got a response back from at call_her_BJ. And they said, what I'm confused about is why Gina is so offended Heather would do it. Gina hasn't stopped talking about Jen spending and squatting.
Right?
Yeah, I know. Are we just erasing that? Are we erasing the first half of the season?
People are just completely forgetting that. I'm going to be honest. I thought that was the harshest comment regarding her finances.
Yeah.
Was calling her a squatter.
Right.
So that was rough. That was a low blow.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I guess we're fine now?
Yeah, I know. Apparently. And I mean, Emily's still talking about it. Emily was fine to discuss her opinion on that too. So I don't understand how Gina's kind of sliding through this. Because yes, I think she had the worst comment to say about her. And they even got, her and Jen got into a fight at that cafe place where they got coffee. And she left.
Yeah.
Gina left.
Yeah.
Her and her bad posture walked out the door and it was
Select amnesia.
Right. So I don't know. I don't get how we're just forgetting that. I understand that, you know, Heather did something kind of shitty, but I don't know why we're not bringing this up again.
Every woman there talked about her finances.
That would be the first thing that I would do. To get the heat off of me if that happened, I'd be like, she called you a squatter. Punt it to somebody else.
Exactly.
So Jen is kind of already fighting with Heather a little bit. And then Tamra chimes in and is like, you don't have to spend money to fit in. Like, you don't have to buy all these, you know, designer brands. And Jen's like, what are you talking about? You made fun of me last year for wearing fake brands.
Right.
And we see the flashback pop up of Tamra talking about it. And I don't know. I just don't think Jen can really win here in this situation.
She can't. What do you want from this woman?
To wear Old Navy.
I guess.
Like the
and
rest
maybe
of us.
she used to. And maybe that's a Jen problem.
Yeah.
Wear what you can afford. Don't care. You can wear very nice things that aren't name brand. But the problem is you're filming with Heather Dubrow, who has a, $50 million home.
I know.
You cannot compete with that. Nobody can. So stop trying.
Right.
Just be yourself.
So you had tweeted out about this scene in particular. Oof. Then Tamra says you don't have to spend money to fit in. And Jen again throws some honesty out there with, you made fun of me last year for wearing fake brands. Jen is on fire. And you got a response from at TJelly888 who said, seeing this side of Jen is amazing. I do wish she would take Gina's advice and not accept those disingenuous apologies so quickly. You can see based on her social media posts lately that she's had enough from her haters. Hope she ramps up this energy for next season.
I agree. It was nice to see her finally say something.
Yeah.
Because you and I kind of refer to her as Bambi because she's very soft-spoken, doesn't usually fight back.
Right.
When they go after her, she kind of has this deer in the headlights look, hence Bambi.
Right.
She looks like she's ready to cry sometimes. She's not a fighter.
No, she's not at all.
Usually on Housewives, you have to be a fighter. So we finally see some of that spirit where she's like, you know what? I'm tired of this. I'm not taking it anymore. And she speaks up, which I thought was great.
Yeah, I like this side of Jen, too. That's something that we need on Housewives. We need everybody at some point to speak up. It will happen eventually. You will get sick of these women, and it will make you want to speak up.
Yeah.
So I think that's finally what's happening now, and I like seeing what Jen has to say.
Yeah.
The next morning, Tamra and Emily go out for a walk, and Emily makes some points that kind of explain exactly how I feel about Shannon. And she's telling these to Tamra and trying to give her like advice about how to go about it. But Emily says this in her confessional. And she says, you can be disappointed in her because of the DUI. You can have the opinion that she shouldn't drink. You can have the opinion that she should be sober. Every single one of those is valid. But why not try to help her be a better person and not continually berate and humiliate her?
Oh my God, yeah.
I think that perfectly encompasses everything.
I
about
agree.
how I feel, at least. I don't know.
Absolutely. I think so too. It's hard because sometimes on social media it feels like people are dismissing the DUI because they're mad at the way she's being treated.
Uh-huh.
And that's not really how I feel.
Yes.
I'm not dismissing the DUI. However, I understand she's dealing with a lot of other shit from this season.
Mm-hmm.
So cruelty doesn't work. Cruelty never works.
Right.
So you got to come at it a different way.
I know. And especially being on this show, I'm not sure if Tamra thinks that that's what we want to see or not. She's kind of giving me the Lisa Rinna vibe, like toward the end here. Like where Lisa would be mad about remember how she was mad at Garcelle about the sauce or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
And she made that something. I feel like she's trying to,
overproduce?
Yeah, a little bit. And I actually think that if she didn't, it would be better. But I don't know. Maybe she's just like that. I have no idea.
Or she's just fed up. But
could be that too, which I can also understand as well.
I understand as well. It's just, it's not working.
It's not working.
When all of your friends are saying you're being too harsh, you need to tone it down.
That's also true too. Yes, because Emily is harsh in her own way. Mm-hmm. And if she's telling you, hey,
you have no compassion.
Yeah, then you might want to back that off a little bit.
Agree.
You had tweeted out, okay, Emily kind of nailed it here, along with not continually berate and humiliate her. And you had gotten a response back from @triathlete1970, who said, this is why Emily is a tier 1 housewife. She's empathetic and opinionated and messy.
See, I agree. I know a lot of people don't feel like Emily should be there, or they didn't used to feel like she should be there. Mm-hmm. Her and Gina, they get lumped together a lot. I feel like she's really come into her own. I want a housewife that is messy but not afraid to share their opinion.
Right.
And she does that.
Yeah.
And she's still empathetic.
Yes.
I mean, she makes her snarky comments.
Absolutely. Yes.
And people don't have to like them, but you would hate it if she said nothing and was boring.
That's the worst thing that I think you can be, is
That's
boring.
That's the kiss of death. Boring. Yes. And I don't find her boring. I find her delightful.
I know. And it's like, you need some people who are at least sort of in the middle. Mm-hmm. You cannot have all Tamras and you cannot have all Shannons.
Yes.
Like,
we can't have everybody on 20 all the time.
No, because then it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think she's a tier 1 housewife as well. I'm here for that. Thanks, Ryan. Then we move to a scene with Shannon, Gina, and Jen talking. And Shannon brings up texts from Tamra talking about investigating Jen's boyfriend, Ryan. These texts, however, are from September of 2022. And already I'm like, oh, God. Like, I think I groaned out loud. Like, are we really doing this?
I think I looked at you and said, wait, did she say 2022?
Oh, God. So, I mean, I got a couple issues with this, but first, the texts are from 2 years ago.
Right.
Tamra and Shannon were still friends at the time. Mm-hmm. So, I'm not really sure what this does for you and why you've kept them this long. Probably as receipts, but okay.
Tamra was sending them to you. You guys were talking about it.
Exactly.
So what's your reply?
Right. I know. Shannon, what did you send back to her? Because you conveniently left out that, what you said underneath, because you took screenshots of those photos and you kept those and you're showing her that, but we don't see your message underneath.
Right. If Tamra felt comfortable enough saying, oh, I'm going to investigate him, did you say, ooh, let me know what happens?
Right.
Which is what I would say.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would say. Yeah, like, I wouldn't be like, don't tell me. I would be like, let me know.
Tell me everything.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, she doesn't want to show that part, if that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's a little shady.
Yeah.
Shannon and Tamra were friends. They were shit talking about this. And we know that Tamra had a really rough season with Jen. So, this was probably right before that.
Yeah.
And they were not doing well.
Right.
And so now you're in a good place or a better place and you're going to bring back shit. All I can say is prepare yourself. Because if you kept texts, you can bet your ass that the person you're ratting out has kept them as well.
Right. Especially for as on and off again as your friendship is, you're going to keep stuff. So if you did it, I guarantee you Tamra has hers, and we know that that will be the case in the next episode.
You blew up this friendship, well, she's going to blow up one of yours.
Right, exactly. So once Jen hears about this background check, I've never seen her this mad.
No, she went ballistic.
Yes. And the episode ends with Jen coming into Tamra and Heather's room and screaming at Tamra for doing a background check on Ryan. And Tamra screams back, it wasn't a background check, even though those were her words, and nothing really gets accomplished here at all. So what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm proud of Jen for sticking up for herself. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, the words background check were used by Tamra in that photo. Yeah. She said she was doing a background check. So that's what Jen's going off of. Yeah. Your own words. So Tamra can keep screaming, I didn't do a background check, but that's what you called it.
Right.
I think this whole thing is stupid in that it was from 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not fighting over something you said to me 2 years ago.
I know.
But I also like Jennifer sticking up for herself. This is my thing. I can love Jennifer, yet hate Ryan.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And people need to know that you can do that. Because there are people out there who love Teresa, but don't like Louis. Yeah. Or didn't like Joe. And you can love a person and not support the person they're with. Mm-hmm. That's fine. And so I really, really like Jennifer. But people hate Tamra so much that they're all of a sudden loving Ryan. Ryan is problematic.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that I don't like Jen. And I think it's great that she's speaking up for herself.
Yeah, I would agree. I think when Tamra used the word background check, just judging by the photos, it doesn't really look like that. It looks like his online profile somewhere. Like
I
Ryan.
couldn't see the picture.
It was weird. It didn't look like one. And I've never heard of like an official background check where you're getting like screenshots of photos like that. I feel like that would be in a file. Like you would have some more evidence or whatever. I mean, his file would be thick. So I don't think that it was just 2 screenshots worth. So I think that Tamra definitely probably used the wrong word when she said background check. Mm-hmm. I think she probably did mean I want to see if this guy is really in real estate or not.
And if he's a licensed mortgager or something.
Right, yeah.
Which so apparently he's not.
Not surprised, but okay. So, I don't know. But I do think that the wrong word was used. Yeah. And the wrong term was used. But yes, that's all that Jen had to go off of when you hear the word background check, you know? Yeah. In the sneak peek for next week, we see Tamra go back into her phone for old drama as well, because it comes out that Shannon was digging around for info on Gina and Travis. And this brings up an old rumor that Gina pushed him down the stairs. And right there, this is the problem when you bring up old text and somebody has old text on you as well.
Yeah. I mean, how many times has one said, this is what you said about Vicky, and then the other one, well, you said this about Vicky. Well, you're talking to each other. You're both bitching about Vicky.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, be careful what you do because it can come back and bite you in the ass. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about this week's episode of Real Housewives of Potomac.
Okay.
The episode resumes with Giselle and Ashley's GNA event, which was in honor of Giselle's father who had passed away from a brain tumor. And if you remember, Karen invited all the women to her event which was starting 1 hour before Giselle's event on the same day.
Right.
And everyone, including Karen, had already RSVP'd to the GNA event. Mm-hmm. So at this point, we have Wendy and Kiarna who stayed back at Karen's because she hadn't even gotten her award yet. And they are kind of closer friends with her. So they're like, we're just going to stay here. You guys go ahead. So Stacy, Jazzy, and Mia left for the GNA event. And at the end of the episode of last week, they had arrived around 8:03 or 8:04.
Right.
They thought things were cool because Ashley had said, get here by 8 o'clock. Mm-hmm. Originally, they said they wanted to get there by 8:30.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I was going to mention, too, is that the event ended at 9.
Right.
And it's like, you want to show up at 8:30? Don't come at all. So Ashley's like, try to be here by 8 then, at the very least. And they couldn't even really do that.
No, they couldn't. So the episode picks up with the women in the Sprinter van after they had gotten thrown out by Giselle. Mm-hmm. And they are furious at Ashley and Giselle. And Giselle is just as equally furious at them.
Right.
And she's like, Karen's getting an award. Who gives a shit? This is the same woman that hit a tree with her car. Okay. And then she says, my father passed away. This is a real event in which we are raising real money for the National Brain Tumor Society.
I think that that's really where her anger stems from, is that this is a real event. This isn't one of those stupid events that we put on for the show to try to, get scenes of us.
Like
all
Karen's
together.
award.
Like Karen's award, exactly. Which I don't even think she knows what the award is for.
Right.
But, So I think Giselle was like, are you kidding me? This is actually a real scenario. My father did pass from this, and we are raising money for this. And you have the balls to RSVP and then show up at the tail end of it.
Or not show at all.
Yeah.
Yes. So you and I are definitely siding Team Giselle on this.
Yeah. Which is a first.
It is a first. I know. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
But a particularly shady moment was when Giselle sends Ashley out to the van before the women leave with a barcode to donate to the event. Yes, I laughed.
Oh, yeah, that was funny. I thought it was funny.
It was so funny.
To kick these women out and then go out with your barcode to donate, that is just
Well, that's the least they could do, frankly.
Yeah, that's what I think, too.
But they weren't having it.
No.
They were pissed. In fact, they were trying to throw it out of the van, and I think Ashley snuck it in there, but they were not happy.
She tried to close the door on her. I thought,
know.
well, okay, that's it's a lot.
Yeah, I thought so, too.
They threw you out. She didn't, nobody, got in a fight here or anything, but, to close the door on her, just...
So then 18 hours after the event, Stacy has Jazzy, Ashley, and Karen over to her house to discuss what went down at the GNA event. And Karen and Ashley kind of get into it a little bit because Giselle had told Ashley, Karen said she wasn't going to invite any of the women because it would be a conflict of interest. Mm-hmm. And literally hours go by, and then Karen sends that text out to everyone inviting them all. So it's like, you said you weren't going to do this specifically.
Right.
And then you go and do it.
Right. And not only that, Karen specifically told Giselle, I RSVP'd as well, and I even want to be there.
I will be there.
Yeah. So now you're just taking people away from this event for your stupid bullshit award.
It starts getting a little nasty because Karen brings up Ashley's ex-husband, Michael, and kind of all his harassment suits, saying he's pinching men's asses. And she brings up that Ashley gifted her 4 Uber certificates, which she thought was kind of a shady thing to do because she says, quote, I could have died in that accident.
Oh, good God. Oh, my God.
Is she serious right now?
She 100% is, which is what's scary.
Because I had tweeted out, did Karen just say I could have died regarding her DUI? And at I Can Read said, and whose fault was that, Karen? Ugh, this is a bad look for her.
Yeah, I know. And then Ash was like, you could have killed somebody else. You're not realizing like this at all. I can't with Karen right now. And also, back to the Michael thing too. It's like, I don't understand. That didn't hold any weight for me here in this argument. Like, I don't understand why Karen's bringing that up. That was a
you
nothing
didn't want to talk about him,
Yeah.
so now if I don't want to talk about the DUI, I can use the same excuse. But she's coming at it as this victim.
Right.
Like, I could have died, as though someone almost hit you. Oh, wait, the phantom car almost hit her.
We're forgetting that. You're forgetting that crucial part.
Or the deer.
The deer was not mentioned, though. This was only mentioned in the first episode. That came out of nowhere, too.
You and I have discussed our Housewives Mount Rushmore before, and Karen Huger has always been on mine. And I'm honestly chipping her off, I think.
Oh.
I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, the attitude about this is not, I fucked up. It's somehow she was wronged.
I know. That's what's disappointing about this, too. Yeah, it's very, very much that she was the victim in this situation, and you weren't.
No.
So it's just like, take a little bit of ownership. I don't know if she's not taking any because she's trying to fight it, like, in court, so she's not going to do it,
Right.
on camera, but it's very off-putting.
Yeah, I would agree. That's a great word for it. So then we have a scene with Mia, Jacqueline, and Ink. And the only thing kind of worth mentioning about it is that Jacqueline has a confessional, and in it she says that when Mia and Ink broke up, that he would hit on her and ask her out to dinner and stuff.
Yeah, what the hell? What's up with that?
I mean, her and Mia are like tight again. Why would you say this?
Yeah, I don't know why you would say that at all. I cannot imagine that Mia was thrilled.
No.
Like, what?
I imagine she called her or texted her immediately, like,
why did you say that?
Why did you say that?
It's really weird because they seem to have this odd friendship.
They do have a weird relationship, and this kind of thing just is not going to fly if you're friends. You can't say shit like that.
No, it's not going to go
whether
over
it's
well.
true or not.
Right. Yeah.
Like, keep that to yourself. You don't have to share everything.
I know. And that was probably such a long time ago, too, because it seems like Mia and Ink have been together a lot longer than,
Well, I think it was before she even married Gordon. So why go back, 15 years or whatever?
Right. Doesn't seem worth it.
So then we have a scene with Stacy working out with her trainer, and her boyfriend / bestie shows up, and the whole thing is just really awkward. He barely hugs her.
Yeah.
Like, almost kind of pushes her. You and I both noticed. We're like, wait, did he just kind of push her out of the way?
Yeah. It was very weird. It's like that awkward hug that you give like in middle school when you're not sure if you want to like touch the person. It's like, I don't know.
Then they're kind of talking about sex a little bit, and she looks at TJ and says, I just want to know how much you want me.
Yeah. Literally.
And he looks at her and actually says one word: 0. Way to crush somebody's like self-confidence.
Well, it's just like, if you have 0 interest, then why are you wasting her time? It just seems very odd to me that you wouldn't say, like, oh my gosh, I think about it all the time. I can't wait.
Right.
Like, I'm excited to. Because it's one thing if that's your boundary, is that you want to wait till you're married. Do I get it as a, like, grown man who's, had other partners and shit like that? No, I don't get it, but whatever.
Right.
But to say 0 is the weird part for me.
It's extremely weird for me as well, because I agree with you. At least if you're like, I can't wait, or this is so hard for me.
Yeah.
You don't understand. That's what she said.
I know. I was kidding right now.
But, you know, it's really hard for me to wait, or I think about you all the time. Something like that. But he's not at all.
Yeah.
So, like, Stacey, if you're out there and if you're listening, I'm speaking to you, woman to woman. Find a man that wants to dick you down. I'm sorry. You really want that sexual attraction, the sexual chemistry, and this guy is not it.
I know. It's very, very weird to me. It's not feeling very genuine, I guess. I don't
know what he's doing.
Yeah.
So then we have another scene where most of the women meet up, minus Karen and Mia. And ultimately, Giselle says that she's had time to think over things from the GNA event and feels like she might have overreacted with the women. So she ends up apologizing to all of them. And she says she's more upset with Karen and she took it out on them, and they all accept her apology. So do you, Grace, think that Giselle owed them an apology?
Hell no, I don't. And this is, normally, I like a good apology. I like that, you know, people are willing to move on and give one if you, you know, think you overreacted. That's great. I do not in this circumstance. I think that these women were so fucking rude and late, and they didn't have to be. That's also the thing, too.
Right.
It's not like you had to be late. And they keep saying that they were only like 3 or 4 minutes late. You were an hour and 4 minutes late. The event was half over.
Right.
You missed Giselle talking. You missed, you know, all of that stuff that made the event what it was. So
right. It started at 7.
Yeah.
Not at 8. So you were not 4 minutes late.
Right.
You were an hour and 4 minutes late.
So I just don't think that Giselle needed to apologize. Now, if she had wanted to and said, I apologize for kicking you guys out, then fine. But I think the women also owed her one as well.
Yes.
That probably is what I think should have happened. Maybe Giselle could have been like, yeah, I'm sorry that this is how I kicked you guys out and that I got security and all that. And it was a little bit much, but they owed her one as well.
I would agree. I think she was emotional. I don't know that she owed them an apology, but I think it was nice that she did.
Yeah.
Because it clears the air. You can move on. They accepted it. Once you accept an apology, it should be done with.
That's true too. Yeah.
But nobody did apologize to her. Nobody said, you know what? I understand why you were mad. I'm sorry you kicked me out. It didn't feel great, but I get what drove you to that. But that didn't happen either, so.
I know, which I don't love, but whatever, you know. But I thought it was funny, though, that Wendy was like, did Giselle just apologize? Like, who is this person? It's probably because she doesn't have Robin.
I think it's great that Robin's not there.
Yeah.
Giselle's forced to interact with other people, and her and Wendy might get this friendship back.
Which I would like to see. Things are going well right now. So
I agree.
I'm happy about that.
So the women also mentioned being excited for the group trip to North Carolina for Wendy's birthday. And we are excited too, because we see a little bit of a sneak peek. And things go off the rails.
Always.
Kiarna is screaming at someone, I think it's Ashley, who is asking about her scar.
Oh.
And I believe the scar she's referring to is the one that Cookie Monster gave her from that fight where she got hit with the glass.
Right, from the last
Not sure
GNA
why
event.
You can't ask about it, though. I guess it depends on how it was asked. But
Yeah,
Ashley was the one who invited Cookie Monster, so maybe, you know.
Right.
There's some bad blood there.
I guess we'll have to see in the episode who brings it up, how it's brought up, and why it's brought up.
Then we have Mia, who brings up Karen's 2 DUIs, to which Karen responds, I don't have 2 DUIs, dingbat.
I don't know what she's talking about here.
I don't know either. I thought that was pretty much established. And then somebody goes and looks it all up.
Right, Mia does, I believe.
Okay, yeah.
Because she shows the phone to Stacy and is like, this is what you're defending.
Yes, that's what happens. And then Stacy approaches Karen and says something about Karen mentioning wanting to go to rehab for alcoholism.
Oh.
Things are starting to get dark.
Right, deeper into this here. Yeah.
I'm here for it.
I think it's because Karen keeps denying and pushing shit around, and people are asking you questions, and then you're not answering, or you're shifting other stuff around, and when you don't get the answer, then you're going to keep asking.
Right.
And then you just keep getting deeper and deeper here, and this is what we're left with.
It was a great episode. There were a couple of little filler scenes, but didn't bother me. Was fine with it. Last season was a bit drab for us, a little boring. So I'm really enjoying this one.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it too. I think it helps when you have some newer people to bring in some new energy, but also fix what you have with the old cast and let them rebuild relationships there too, because you need the old cast at the core. You can't just have these newbies who we don't know. Right.
And the reunion was left in shambles. I mean, I didn't think anybody was going to talk to anybody, but Candace leaving because she was pregnant was a great decision on her part. This is such a toxic environment, so that was a good idea. And Robin leaving was a win for us, personally.
Win for my sanity.
Right. So now they're all forced to kind of move on, where I don't know if they would have.
Right.
So, win-win.
Thanks for listening to episode 23 of Nice-ish. You can follow us on Instagram or Twitter at Nice-ish Podcast or at LoveCindyC. You can listen to Nice-ish wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Look for new episodes every Monday. Thank you for listening and have a nice-ish day.